Welcome to Confident Real Estate. I'm your host, JC. Now, perhaps you already own an investment rental property and you live in fear of that middle of the night phone call from your tenant about some kind of emergency. Or perhaps that's why you pay a property manager a decent portion of your gross rents so that you don't have to worry about those calls in the middle of the night. And even further, maybe the fear of the unknown and the fear of those middle of the night phone calls from prospective tenants is why you're still on the sidelines and you haven't yet pulled the trigger because you're, subconsciously making excuses for why you shouldn't invest in real estate. In this video, we're going to put an end to those tenant emergency calls. Let's face facts. Nobody wants to be awoken in the middle of the night by a tenant who's got some kind of emergency that they feel they need to wake you up about. Still, if owning real estate and rental property was easy, everyone would do it. You should be getting a sizable reward for putting up with these headaches and potential risks, and potentially problematic tenants. But that said, it's still not fun. First, let's define what actually qualifies as an emergency. If the property catches fire, the tenant should be calling 911 and getting the fire department out there to put the fire out. If somebody tries to break into the property at 2 o'clock in the morning, they should be calling the police to come and get that person. They should not be calling you. That's not an emergency that you can really do anything about. Still, you do want to know about those issues so that you can make sure the property is safe and secure and has up-to-date fire safety code standards that have been met, but that's not something you can handle in the middle of the night. Like you would do with a child, you really need to set the level of the expectation of your response. If a cabinet door falls off the hinges in the kitchen at midnight, the tenant shouldn't be calling you until the next day, because unless you're Superman or Superwoman, there's really nothing you can do about it or should be doing about it until the next day. If you, as the landlord, run over and put some screws in place and tighten the hinges on the cabinet at midnight, then you have set the level of expectation way too high, and the phone calls you get will be unrelenting, and you will soon find that out. If for some reason at 10 p.m. the outlet in the living room stops working, you need to set the expectation of the tenant as that of a homeowner. If they own the property, they couldn't do anything about that outlet not working at 10 o'clock at night. They would have to wait till the electrician opened for business the next day. And that is exactly what they should be expecting of you. Because really, unless you're an electrician or you have some magic wand, there's nothing you can do about that broken outlet until the electrician opens for business the next day. So set that level of expectation now. As soon as you sign the lease, set that expectation level. The biggest expectation that your tenant should have of you is that you'll take a second to hit that like button down below, and if you haven't already, you'll consider also hitting subscribe and joining our rapidly growing Confident Real Estate family, because really I'd appreciate it. Okay, moving on. The most common type of actual emergency is a plumbing issue, when water and sewage suddenly appear where they shouldn't be. That's a real problem. If water and sewage are left untreated even overnight, it could lead to extensive additional damage, and it's for that reason that you should absolutely know where every water shutoff valve in your property is located. If the roof is leaking during a thunderstorm, there's probably not much you can do about that except to provide buckets and mops and towels and schedule the roof repairs and cleanup as soon as the rainstorm actually stops. Depending on how troublesome your tenants are and how much you really want to deal with them, the expense of a professional property manager may be worth every penny. Just make sure that they're set up to properly respond to any emergency issues that may occur in the middle of the night, per se, and that they also have a cap limit on how much they're allowed to spend to address emergency repairs without first getting your written authorization to do so. On top of that, if you need help finding a good property manager, then you should really watch the video that we did on how to find a good property manager. And I'll leave the link to that video down below so you could watch it as soon as you're done watching this video. Because we already know that plumbing issues are the most likely cause of a real actual emergency in the middle of the night, Start gathering and collecting the information on local plumbers in your area now. Get their contact info, get good reviews on them, and make sure that they're set up again to properly respond and have good reviews for response time to middle of the night potential plumbing emergencies. On top of that, you should make sure that every one of your tenants has your cell phone number. You can go and get a Google Voice number for free. Type that into Google if you don't know how to do it. I'm sure there's a YouTube video somewhere on here that'll show you how to do it as well. And that'll mask your actual cell phone number so that the tenants will have a number to call you on that's not actually your real cell phone number. It's a different number that masks your real number. Then, when you get a call from your tenant, I highly recommend you do not pick up immediately. You let them leave a message and then you can listen to it and you can determine whether or not it's an actual emergency that needs to be responded to immediately or whether it can wait till the next day. And as I said earlier, set the expectation level with your tenant as to what an actual emergency is. Have a written portion attached to your lease that says this is the process for reporting an emergency, and this is what we deem actually falls within the range of a qualified emergency. This way, if your tenant needs a reminder down the road, you can refer them to that section of the lease attachment that explains the process for reporting and what actually falls within the realm of an actual emergency that needs to be called in the middle of the night. It will go a long way to establishing an understanding between you and your tenant. Trust me. Prepare yourself to have thick skin. Making money requires decisiveness. While you want your tenants to be happy, people who whine and complain about every little thing, they're never going to be happy anyway. So get comfortable saying no. Otherwise, you'll make yourself crazy. Or your tenant will. Lastly, check your local area to see if there are any general maintenance companies that specialize in handling local investment property needs. They do exist in many primary and secondary markets, and you want to interview them like you would a property manager just to make sure that they're set up to handle what you're expecting them to be able to handle. And of course, check in with your tenants from time to time, especially your more reasonable tenants, to make sure that these companies that you've outsourced these maintenance needs to are actually applying and giving the level of service that you were expecting. The bottom line is that real emergency calls are extremely rare, and you'll probably, on average, receive less than one call per unit per year. So just have a plan in place and be prepared to act on it when needed. Don't let it keep you up at night, and certainly don't let the fear of an emergency call keep you on the sidelines and out of the real estate investment world altogether, because at the end of the day, a middle of the night phone call is a very minor inconvenience when compared against the real rewards that you will receive from being a property owner and invested in real estate. Once again, thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you haven't hit like already, please do so now. If you haven't subscribed, really consider hitting that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it, and I am blown away by all of you who have subscribed. Thank you very much. Our Confident Real Estate family is rapidly growing, and I appreciate the comments that many of you have left. If there's a video topic you'd like to see us cover, please leave a comment down below. And if you haven't followed us on Instagram yet, I'll leave the link for our Instagram account down below as well. We post some things that are interesting and relevant to what we discuss here on this channel, as well as posting updates as to when our next video is going to air. And again, that's multiple times each week that we post videos. So thank you again. Thanks for watching. Take care.